So where does the energy come from that heats your home and your hot water? Well, in British Columbia, we have an expansive energy system that includes electrical grid, an enormous electrical grid here in British Columbia, administered primarily by BC Hydro and FortisBC Electric. We also have a gas system operated primarily by FortisBC and Pacific Northern Gas, and vast amounts of renewable electric and natural gas resources as well here in British Columbia. BC has a large supply of biomass that can be used to sustainably produce renewable natural gas, which is something that's relatively new to many people, but has been around for a very long time, and is regarded as a carbon neutral energy source. It's also a bit of a drop-in fuel where there's nothing to change, there's no equipment to change. Renewable natural gas is simply introduced into the natural gas system, and all your gas appliances work just fine with renewable natural gas. BC is also connected to the US and other Canadian provinces and territories. So depending on the energy that you're requiring, that energy some of it may come from other jurisdictions. The vast majority of electricity in British Columbia comes from British Columbian generated hydroelectric generation. But there is a portion of the electricity that comes from the United States and from Alberta, for example, that is either coal-fired or natural gas-fired generation. In British Columbia, the natural gas that is consumed here, the vast majority of that comes from British Columbia. But as I said, we are also connected to Alberta and the United States. And if we require supplemental gas to come in from those jurisdictions, it's there to be brought in, which really means that we have a very secure supply of energy, whether it's natural gas or electricity. It may interest you to know that over 30% of BC's total energy consumption is transported through the gas infrastructure. Natural gas represents approximately 50% of the residential and commercial end-use demand, and it's almost 40% of the industrial end-use demand here in British Columbia. The extensive coverage and interconnectivity of the gas network makes the system a very critical vehicle to deliver low-carbon energy to British Columbians. BC also has an expansive electric system, primarily, as I said earlier, primarily administered by BC Hydro and FortisBC. And combined, the two utilities serve over 2.16 million electric customers, over an 86,000 kilometer system of electric transmission and distribution lines. And approximately 90% of BC's electricity capacity is made up of hydro, with the remainder from wind and other renewables and natural gas for peak electricity supply. With both the natural gas and the electric systems available to us here in British Columbia, it's important to understand why balancing or having different sources of energy in your home is important. Whether it's natural gas or electricity or even propane, more than 60% of the energy used in your home goes towards space heating, while another 19% is used in heating hot water. With the colder winter temperatures, it can take even more energy to keep your home at a comfortable temperature. And comfort is really important in your home. Consistency is also important. You want to make sure that the energy is available to you and you can maintain a consistent temperature. And with cold snaps, we tend to turn up the thermostat and run the furnaces and fireplaces or baseboards more often, and for longer periods of time as well. As your home heating is running more often, more energy gets used, and that can result in higher winter energy bills. And there we have an opportunity here to talk a little bit about affordability. Again, when buying a home, it's important, as we've talked about earlier, to be able to afford the mortgage if you are in a position where you're taking a mortgage and that monthly payment, but also to be able to afford to live there comfortably and understand what the running costs of the home are, especially when it's related to energy. It can be a big chunk out of your wallet. When you look at the overall amount of energy that's consumed in a home, roughly 62% is consumed by space heating. You've got another 14% on appliances and electronics, 3% on lighting, 2% on space cooling, and 19% on water heating. I think it's surprising just how much energy is consumed between space heating and water heating in the average home.